All right, welcome to the party, pals, GRC Mafia. So we have another special stream now. So we went ahead and threw this up earlier today just because we had some questions about CMMC. And then also we'll be bringing up AMK, which is one of the community members as well. He's really been grinding it to, break in and get into the industry and so forth. And I think he has some really good insight, especially from that self-study portion. So I'm going to go ahead. We will be opening up the stage as well if anybody else will want to come up. Um, Thank you to everybody who does hop in. I understand that especially during the day or this earlier, it may not be ideal, but also you can catch us later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time on PBO's channel. So PBO will be streaming about personnel safety for the 853 tonight. So that's another thing to look forward to later today. So since I'll be opening up the stage, I just wanted to go over some of the introduction material here. The key thing being our shared mission: use the community, ask for other perspectives, get more insight, share your knowledge, and so forth. We're all here to learn and grow, collaborate, break down those barriers. It's already too difficult to break in as is, and even if you're a practitioner, there's that consistent learning as well, and making a more secure future for everybody. So some of the guidelines when you come up, just keep in mind that it's a business casual meeting. The meeting is recorded and live streamed. Don't share anything you don't want to be public. If you do happen to share too much, just reach out to me on Discord, LinkedIn, or otherwise. You can also contact me at contact@studygrc.org. The best way to drop your personal links is actually inside of our Discord server. If you're not already in there, I went ahead and dropped the link to that. So you can go ahead and head over to our live chat channel on our Discord server and share your personal LinkedIn or other social media profiles and so forth. If you do come up, you do not have to turn on video, but you're welcome to join the conversation, ask questions, share resources, bring up other topics or anything else as well. So worst case scenario, we'll circle back around to that. This is a great space to, just grow. Also, our website, studygrc.org, for the rest of our social links. We also have our resources page and calendar. I'm going to work better on trying to keep that calendar up to date. But also, like I said, we're going to have a bunch of special streams. I don't think we're going to have more than maybe 3 per week, but you could expect maybe 1 or 2 additional every week. A lot more of that will be coming up on our State of Study GRC next Monday at 11 a.m. Central. And then we have the privacy stream as well, which is every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. So that was just earlier today. And then now I'll go ahead and transition over. And today we're talking about CMMC. So let's see here. So this is the main page here, but let me go ahead and bring AMK up. Welcome to the party, pal. Did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey. Yes, sir. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me. My name is Abdul Khan, aka AMK Cyber. Um, I'm trying to do the same thing as all of us trying to do, break into cyber. And the reason I asked about CMMC because I know it's a hot topic. I've been seeing a lot on LinkedIn, and so there's a lot of questions in my mind, and I think you can help me with it.
Damn. Yeah, and it's great to also look at it from the self-study standpoint too, because that's where Study GRC really came about. Because originally when I was trying to understand any of it, I thought I had to learn 57 different frameworks and so forth. But it's a lot easier once you get 1 or 2 down, then it just starts making a lot more sense. And the CMMC and CIS, I think, are probably the easiest ones to actually kind of wrap your head around too. What kind of questions did you have in particular?
All right, so I'll start with the very basic questions. So I have all the questions written down here on my notepad. What is CMMC and why was it created? What was the mission behind CMMC?
Yeah, and that's really great too. Now, I do want to premise it on the fact that I've definitely studied CMMC, but I do not consider myself an expert on it whatsoever. I will be dropping resources so we could dig into it way more. However, so CMMC, in short, is designed for government contractors. And when you go through and you get a contract with the federal government, with the DoD, then the final ruling, this has been ongoing since I believe 2019, and it hasn't technically went into effect until December. So I think it was right before the holidays, the final ruling dropped, which means that now it will start showing in government contracts when these contractors are, actually filing for their contracts and so forth. And pretty much what it is it came about because up to this point, there hasn't really been enforcement of any sort or third-party audit. So especially government contractors, you would think that that's like some high, sensitivity type of material or information. And it's kind of surprising that it's taken this long for a requirement for security, for best practices to be implemented. Because CMMC is all about like the bare minimum. It's about like you have to have a program, you have to have policies, you have to take some steps in order to protect this information and have some type of security to some extent. And that's really the gist of it there. There's a lot more that goes into it. They are doing a rollout, so it's not like I've seen figures of like 300,000 companies that would have to become compliant, but they're doing like a 7 or 10-year rollout, meaning that they're going to work from the biggest boys in the industry down to the smallest companies, is my understanding. But I think that also varies on the type of contracts you have as well. And I'll drop this link. This is the main page for the CMMC. Yeah, go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So since you mentioned the small businesses, right? My question is for the small businesses, how would they bear the cost of these certifications? Since I think it's pretty expensive, right?
Yeah, it could definitely be pretty expensive. That was one of the biggest concerns, especially with doing like an immediate rollout for all of these companies, is not only the amount of assessors that are out there, but then also the cost involved. Because not only do you have the high upfront costs, which I've heard of figures of, $40, $50, $60,000, but then you also have renewing. So every single year, then you have to go through, or every triannually, you have to go through every so often and have a third-party audit conducted and then submitted to what they call SPARs, which is like for the DoD to submit your audit reports and so forth. So it definitely increases the burden on the contractors, and the small mom and pop shops are particularly going to be affected by it. But pretty much what is happening is the contract prices are just going to increase. So the way that it typically works is these different contractors will bid on work from the DoD, and then whoever wins the bid, gets the contract type of thing. And so at this point, then a lot of these companies are just going to be including that in their initial bids. They're just going to add that on. So let's say they have a $100,000 contract with the DoD. They're just going to increase it by 30K or whatever their estimated amount is going to end up being.
That makes sense. And so this kind of like you already answered, but I'll still ask you. Who needs to get CMMC certification? It's going to be mainly your federal companies, right? The one that deals with federal information, right?
So are you talking about like for the contractors or as like a consultant?
As a consultant.
So one of the interesting things is to actually go through and be a consultant for CMMC. You do not have to have any type of credentials or anything like that. However, there are some use cases for it. So as of right now, Cyber AV is the only one for the CMMC certification. I'm going to go ahead and move over to that. And so on this website here, I'll share this in a moment, you'll see these ecosystems. And so there are these accreditations for it, but you don't actually need anything unless you're actually going to be working on a team for like as a C3PAO. Now, that doesn't mean it's not useful. You can go off and get something like RP, which is registered practitioner, which will showcase that you have that level of understanding. You could think of it as a certification to show that you have what it takes to do so. But it's not required in the private space. Now, if you're working on a team in order to actually submit to the DoD as required by CMMC, then you do, there are requirements where like the company, the third-party assessor, which is one of the requirements, one of the unique things about CMMC is that a third party does have to conduct an audit, an assessment, and then submit that to the DoD. Where, like the company, that's where you look at these C3 PAOs, and then, they have to have, a registered practitioner. There's also registered practitioner organization. So I definitely recommend to take a look at these different roles here. But you can still consult and get a company prepared before they hire a C3 PAO or a third-party assessor to do so.
That answers that question. And what are the penalties for contractors if they fail to meet the CMMC requirements?
So I don't know the exact answer for that. I do understand on the fact that would violate the terms of the contract. So especially the first go around. So let's say one of these companies takes a contract that states that they have to have CMMC level 1, or even worse, CMMC level 2, and they fail to meet those requirements. Like, they're going to have to prove that they meet those requirements, which, the DoD has that documentation at that point, that they've gone through the process. In which case, then, like the offer would be revoked, or, something along those lines. I think the bigger issue would be if a contract is awarded and a company obtains it and they are CMMC compliant, but then they loosen their program or don't keep up with their program, and then then that could bring up other issues. But that's also one of the cool things about CMMC is that you have to have those regular assessments from a third party to validate that you are actually following what you're supposed to. So the CUI Discord, which I'll drop here in a moment as well, would be the best place to look for like the actual fines or penalties. But that's like the high level view of it.
Yeah, I feel like what's awesome about it, it's like third-party assessments, which means to check that the companies or contractors are actually compliant.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if you can. Oh, that's the Discord?
Yeah. So the link that I just dropped right there is the CUI Discord. I'll go ahead and drop that on. Oh yeah, so it does show in the live stream channel on our Discord server as well.
Okay. All right, and
then I'm double checking chat. If anybody else has any questions or otherwise, just let me know. So I was going to go through and just interrogate AMK right here and get some of the questions that he has about it. And then also, like, I could just dump these like 7 different resources I have as well. Did you have another question prepped?
All right. I feel like I have a last question, and then we should be good. Oh yeah, this question's pretty. This question is pretty a good question. How does CMMC is different from other cybersecurity frameworks like NIST and ISO?
So I'm not very familiar with ISO at all. I definitely love NIST way more. I probably should brush up on ISO a lot more, but the unique things is that it's not voluntary. So CMMC is directed towards the government contractors that get these contracts, and it is not like if it's in your contract, you don't have a choice. It's part of the contractual agreement. You don't really see that with some of the other things. So like most of the frameworks, like the 853 or 171 on the federal level space, like there's federal law saying like those were designed for different government agencies and so forth that are supposed to be following those. Now, you'll see private companies that may follow the 853, but they're not like actually required to do so. They do it, more for marketing, for security, for compliance, to be able to say, hey, we have the 853 implemented, that kind of stuff. But the fact that it's actually a requirement in the contracts is one of the big parts. And then also the fact that you have to have that third-party assessment as well. And there's a couple nuances with it too, because the interesting thing is that not only does it directly pull from the, you'll see right down here, the 800-171 for the controls, but there's all of these references to DFARS. And so DFARS is like the rule book for the DoD.
Yeah, that answers my last question. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no worries at all. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, I was just going to go through and drop some of these other resources and talk a little bit more about like how you can get into the CMMC ecosystem. Let's see here. And if you do have any other questions, just let me know. So I dropped this resource already. I'm actually going to go ahead and compile this together on Discord so that way it's easy to copy and paste into the description later.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, so you'll see on this resource page, so the Chief Information Officer, DoD, this is going to be the go-to. So you have all of the different scoping guides. So let's say you need to go through and do level 1. You have the level 1 assessment guide right here, and you have the level 1 scoping guide. They also have a really good overview briefing and some other information here too. It's broken up into 3 different groups. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the About page real quick. But so on this About page, you'll notice it has 3 different groups. So level 1, level 2, level 3. My understanding is the large majority is going to fall into level 1. Now, depending on the contract itself or the organization, it may fall under to go into level 2. And then level 3 is like the big boys. That's like Lockheed Martin and the big contractors in this space. And like I've said before, like I don't really worry so much about level 3 because that's when they're calling in like the actual, you'll see right here, hopefully you can see this well enough. Let me see if I could just open this image alone. Oh yeah. So this shows a lot better here. So you'll see right here for level 3, it says that the DIBCAC assessment every 3 years. So you'll see right on level 2 that it's C3PAO assessment every 3 years. And so what this means is level 3 is actually conducted by an agency of the DoD, not by a private third party. Whereas a C3PAO goes through the process with CyberAB that I was showing a moment ago to obtain that C3PAO for their organization, which means that they could do a third-party audit assessment for CMMC at level 2 or whatever it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and you can even see here too that it's self-assessment every 3 years for select programs. So not all of them will require a third-party C3PAO. Which
I'm
is,
guessing that's more like moms and pop, right? The level 1 is going to be more moms and pop, right?
Yeah. So like my understanding is the majority of CMMC is going to follow underneath level 1. It all depends on the size of the organization, the contract itself. You know, like even a small, let's say a small machine shop gets like a massive, really important, high secret, contract. They may be required to have level 2 or something. So it varies. And when that starts rolling out in the contracts, that should like be on the bidding as well. Like it shouldn't be a surprise that, oh, you have to be level 2. They should have some type of like notice there stating what you need. Yeah, and then the C3PO, to clarify as well, is CMMC, Third Party Assessment Organization. So that's the organizations that are able to actually go through and do an assessment and submit that to SPARS, which is to the DoD. That's saying, yes, they are, this is their score based on the CMMC requirements. We got a question here. So AB Showtime mentioned CMMC is still being adopted internationally. So that is actually an interesting topic. So I've heard a little bit about that. The EU has been considering, or they're working on a program that's very similar to CMMC. Like I said, I find it very interesting that government contracts didn't already have requirements for security measures or frameworks. So it's a good thing it's coming out now. It's actually in the final ruling came out. So hopefully these other countries do follow suit. Even within the US, CMMC's full implementation is expected by October 2026. So the final ruling did come out back in December. It was like around the holiday. So it can be showing up in contracts technically already. I'm not entirely positive, like exactly when, but technically it could be showing in contracts. But my understanding is it's going to start with the big boys and then work its way down, but it also depends on that contract as well. But also, I know that they already did state that they were doing a 7-year rollout, because the biggest issue is, so you say CMMC full implementation is expected by October 26th. That I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that in full, because one of the biggest concerns is that with over 300,000 people or companies that would have to comply with this, there's just not enough assessors. It's a lot of money and all of this other stuff as well. And not all of the contracts you will renew on that October 26th either. So there's a little bit more that goes into that. I'm pretty sure it got pushed back from 7 years to 10 years, or a 9-year rollout with this final rolling portion. But I know it's at least a 7-year rollout. Doesn't mean that these companies shouldn't be working on it, though. I mean, better start early. You know, at least start allocating some of your budget towards it to start getting prepped. And then we got PBO hopping in chat here. And so I think this is a pretty straightforward thing here. And like I'm saving these resources on Discord that I'll put in the description as well, so that way you could really dig down into this. But again, so level 1 and 2 is what I would say the large majority would be focused on. And you could see here that level 1 only has 15 requirements. And then also the FARs 52, 204, 21. So these would be the 2 levels I would be most worried about. The level 3 is for the big boys, so which is handled, that assessment's actually handled by DIBCAC. So now I'm going to go ahead and transition back over to this page. So this was the about page that we went to. I just really want to stress the fact that this resource page has everything you really need. So between this and CUI, Discord, you should be pretty set. However, let me go ahead and copy this over. So then you have the ecosystem that we talked about briefly as well. So definitely take a look at this for the different roles that are available here for the ecosystem. Like I said, as a consultant that's not submitting to DoD, you could still prepare a company to have that third-party assessment completed or assist with it. And you'll also see another important thing I didn't mention is, if you look at this diagram again, you'll see that level 1 is annual self-assessment. So there's a couple different things too. So like,
that's correct.
Yeah, that's an important shout out as well. And then this is a great resource too. So this is the 800-171, and like the controls get pulled from the 171. And so what I did is we put the 171 controls into a Trello board, and then we attached the labels for level 1 and level 2 on here. I do not have level 3 on here. Like I said, I just try to not even think about
That's
it.
Pretty
but
neat.
Yeah. And so when you open these up, it also links out to the CMMC Control Explorer on GRC Academy. And so I'll go ahead and drop this link in chat now so you guys can take a look at it. And like I said, I'm going to be adding all of these in the description. The good thing with this is that it gives the additional description context as well when you open each one of these open. And you could sort it by just like level 1, for an example. So you can click on this label on the bottom right and then just select level 1, and then it shows just the level 1 controls. And so that leads us over here to GRC Academy. And so GRC Academy also has their Control Explorer, which I think is way more updated. So mine I put together when it was 2.0, and now it's I think 2.13 for the version of CMMC. He keeps this very well updated. So the CMMC Control Explorer on here is very well up to date. You can select the different group, access control, media protection, and so forth. You could go ahead and filter it by CMMC level as well, like level 1. So like for media protection, there's only one for level 1, which is to sanitize or destroy information system media containing federal contract information before disposal or release for reuse. And that also leads me to another thing. So like this is saying that, you know, anything that had to deal with federal contract information also abbreviated down to FCI, because you'll see CUI and FCI throughout. But it mentions here that containing federal contract information. And so what a lot of different companies are doing as well is most of these companies, they don't just have government contracts. They're in the public space, you know, like let's say a machine shop, you know, they just pick up a single contract. It's not that they have to have their entire organization compliant. They just have to make sure that whatever's working with that is compliant. So a lot of these companies will also have an enclave where, you know, they may have a workstation in the cloud, or they may have a dedicated area or otherwise just for the storage of federal contract information or involving that contract. So if the DoD sends you, you know, blueprints for, you know, I don't know, tank designs or you know, a spaceship or something, then, you know, that's on the systems that are actually compliant with CMMC. So, or at least should be compliant, I should say. But yeah, that's beside the fact. But the point here being is not only is this a great control explorer, but that a lot of these companies do not also have to have it organizationally wide, but just in that enclave, just in that one section. And then I'm keeping track of all of this on Discord too, so I can drop all of these links at one time. And then our next resource here is, so I mentioned GRC Academy. Now, I'm not one for like, especially the more expensive courses or otherwise. However, I have taken this training through them. If you are very serious, like if you work for a government contractor, this is the type of course that you should be taking. So if you're working for a government contractor and you do have to start working with CMMC, then this $250 overview training is designed for you. And I do recommend it because it is a very high quality course that he keeps up to date. And it covers the whole, everything you would need to know. So definitely another recommendation, but it's not just for anybody. Like I wouldn't recommend it unless you are 100% in the CMMC space or like you've already made that choice. So, because at the end of the day, it's still $250. I would still start with the main page for CMMC and break all of that down. And then also on YouTube here, GRC Academy is a main player for it. And you can see on here that they have this playlist. So GRC Academy has a playlist that gives you a nice little overview of CMMC as well, which is kind of like some key highlights out of their course. Let me double check chat. Did you have any other questions yet, AMK?
No questions. It's just AB saying you can take the comment off of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
The AB's comment. Yeah, but
Welcome to
other
the
than
party,
that,
pal.
no questions. You're dropping golden nuggets.
Yeah, and I think it's a great question too. Like CMMC is definitely getting hot. Oh, cyber research, Luke. You got to like DM me or something in order to get your own command. But I'll throw a command in for you. You're sometimes cool. Let's see. Yeah, and we got Space Tacos, AB. We got Luke in here. We got PBO, B-Dubs. Bam, Teehee. And then also I do
Hey
believe.
everyone, how's it going?
Yeah, and I believe Teehee was had joined one of our meetings where like a bunch of us were up on stage talking about CMMC or the federal space at one time too. They're pretty familiar with it as well, if I remember correctly. And they did also mention in chat there about RP, if I can find it again. Yeah, so CMMC RP is just classes, and that's it. Yeah, like you go through training and so forth. But yeah, let me know, Luke, about what link you need there. And so we have this one. So checking out, did I grab that? Yes. So this playlist for CMMC overview training from GRC Academy. And then also, if you're serious about the CMMC space, then Summit 7 is a must-have as well. So not only is there that CUI Discord, but Summit 7 is, I mean, if anything to do with CMMC, that this is the place to be. So Summit 7 regularly does live streams. They do something like every Friday where they have a hotline. Like you can actually go through and you can call an actual cell phone number. Yeah, they save right here. So 866 CUI 7021. So during their 1 hour live stream on Fridays, you can actually call the phone number and actually ask your questions, which I think is amazing. So,
Oh, wow.
yep.
That is very amazing.
And it's all about CMMC.
Hey, Evie, thank you. Thank you, Evie.
Yeah, so this is an amazing resource. So definitely get up on Summit 7 as well. And it's not just the live streams, but they also have the playlist here too, which has got to be, over 100. So you can see like the
funny?
CUI hotline playlist. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just reading on their website about CMMC Summit 7.
Yep. Yeah, I would say Summit 7 is probably the most well-known in the CMMC space, just because of how active they are, and they're very big with community. So, oh yeah. Yeah, and that's where you can also get this video content. So especially, I know a lot of people don't want to, go through and read, I mean, probably 1,000 pages worth of documentation for all of it. Actually, maybe more than that, because I think the final ruling was like over 300 pages. I think it was like 340 pages or something. But like 7 steps to CMMC compliance, they have a whole history here as well. So yeah, DFARS, which, so the DFARS like 7012 is in relation to it as well. And so like a really good thing here would be to go to their videos, and then you could just do latest, and you could start working your way back. You could see 5 days ago, they were revisiting our 2024 CMMC predictions, because they were following CMMC through its whole process, because they tried to push it out in like 2019, and then there was a bunch of pushback from the private industry. And so then it kind of like got taken out pretty quickly. And then now it's been like going through revisions and being updated and so forth until just recently when the actual final ruling got pushed out. So this is an amazing place to be. And yeah, I would definitely take advantage of that live stream as well every Friday. And that pretty much concludes like the resources for the CMMC aspect. That should get you from 0 to hero pretty quick there.
Thank you, Chris. That's more than enough.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go ahead and send this right into the live chat here on Discord. And I'll probably make an article in our resources page for this too, just because it's all compiled together now. But yeah, thank you so much, AMK, for coming up, asking the questions, getting us up here, and just getting this information out. So it's like a one and go, here you go.
And thanks,
so,
thanks,
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
And then I'm going to go ahead and drop the stage link one more time. So if anybody else does want to come up, awesome. Otherwise, we can go ahead and bring it to an end. We're only at 35 minutes right now, which feels odd, but I think this is a really great go-to for CMMC, just to hit the ground running.
Sounds good. Thank you. I got all the resources saved.
Perfect. Yeah, and then also I got it in Discord here too. Perfect. So bam.
Is BDOFs or PBO not joining?
Oh no, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, and that's okay too. It is only 4:35 p.m., so it's definitely earlier than we normally do. I did mention at the very beginning that PBO is going live tonight, so let me go ahead and pull that up. Personnel security for the 853 tonight. So that's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can see it right here. I'm going to go ahead and drop in chat, Ibrin. So you see Mafia, second place. Mike B beat me to it. You might want to reach out to Mike B, PBO. He says, hit me up via email when you get a chance. And I'll go ahead and drop this as well. You can also hit the notification button. Just like that. And now I will be notified when he goes live at 8 o'clock if I'm not asleep by then. Oh, no, PBO's coming up now.
thought I was not.
Welcome to the party, pal.
What's going on? I thought I was not.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, cool. Late night with PBO. Great stream, guys. Great
Yeah.
Thank you, PBO.
Yeah, like you said, CMC is getting hot. It's definitely in the federal space. I think the big guys are ramping up for it. So, like you said, so it's pretty interesting. Chris, do you see a lot of? I don't see a lot of ND's jobs looking for a CMC yet, but I see a few.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons why is just because there's a lot of people already out there that have government contractor experience. Because also a lot of these government contractors, they may have to have secret clearance, or there's a lot of different nuances with that. So like somebody who has government experience is going to be up there first. So like I could definitely see it like on what is that, like statejobs.com or something like that, for government jobs. I could see that being published there more than like Indeed. But also it's not technically showing in I don't think there's been a single I actually think there was one contract that got it so far. I think Summit 7 did publish something saying that like the first contract came out with the requirement for CMMC, but it's not like a regular thing yet because they're doing a rollout.
Yeah, but I think the companies are getting ready, right? They have their internal GRC departments probably doing that to get ready for it. Because you want to try to do it internal, so you won't have to spend all that money on it. Because the 3PAO is about $400 an hour. Man. Those guys are super expensive, so they probably
or more.
Yeah, they're probably doing internal to get it ready. So
yeah, and like that was my understanding. A small, like especially small business is doing like the third-party consultants. And then that medium and larger business is going for that internal, because it's just cheaper to hire somebody on full time to handle it than keep spending the money for that third party.
Yeah, because I was talking to a guy. They do the CNC machines for it, so they were trying to figure out how to really incorporate in their business. Because usually they do the design and they hand it off to the government agency. So they was trying to figure out, do they need to be CMC certified, and how they go about it, and
well, and that's one of the interesting things is that like it's supposed to be showing up in contracts, but also it's possible that it may not show up in all contracts. So I mean that's one of the interesting things about it, because it's all about that federal contract information and so forth.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm sure especially from the government, their procurement office, so I'm sure they have a whole agency and offices trying to figure out how to do those RFPs and what would qualify from a company standpoint. We should go out there and look up some RFPs for CMMC and just kind of go through them probably.
What do you do? What?
Look up an RFP that has CMMC in it and see what they're asking for the companies to do. Because companies bid on RFPs for the RFPs, they tell you what security level you need to be at and kind of what you need to do to qualify for CMMC. Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure on that end of it. I did actually work for a company that had government contracts at one time, and like I forget what the panel's called, but like their contracting system. I had to like learn that, and it was like, I don't know, 20 years old, like 1990 style website.
They are pretty old.
But yeah. Oh, and then we also have Luke coming up too. I didn't even notice you. Welcome to the party, pal.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Did you have anything to add there?
I joined the party late as usual. How's it going? AMK, I don't think we've met or been on the same, stream at the same time. I met PBO a few times.
Yeah.
So I just
it's the first time.
Yeah, well, good to meet you. Hopefully we can actually meet in person sometime in the future.
Good to meet you too. Yeah. Yes, sir.
My company
he's down there with you guys as well, Luke.
Oh, is he in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm in
All right.
Texas.
We got it. So this is kind of random and off topic. I was thinking GRC,
Perfect.
not GRC, Simply Cyber needs to have a Texas chapter because I think there's quite a bit of. I want to say you
Texas
guys,
people.
but
Simply
I think
Cyber
I'm. I
does.
think it does.
Yes.
Well, this is the
So
first
Simply
I'm
Cyber
hearing
does
of it.
have a Texas channel. In I don't want to give a time frame or anything else, but we're constantly looking for feedback on the Simply Cyber end and so forth. So any type of feedback, suggestions, anything like that is extremely valuable. So inside of the Discord right now, I don't want to show the full Discord, but I probably should do a video walkthrough. If you go to the reaction roles channel, which is towards the top of the channels list, then you can select the SC local group emoji, which is the globe, and then that opens up a channel that's called SC local meetups. And inside of there, you'll find the Texas meetup chat.
So did I just figure out how to get Chris off topic? Ask him about something in Discord, right? Is that how it works?
Well, I'm just trying to answer your question there. Problem
I
solved.
know. I'm just
Or
giving
for
you a
you,
hard
Luke,
time.
to make it. Oh no, I understand.
No.
It's actually really good.
I had a question about CMMC. I didn't. That's why I kind of joined. Is my company? Go ahead.
Just real quick, yeah, it's a perfect thing to bring up though too, because you are not the only person who has had difficulty finding that, because a lot of people don't realize that you have to go apply a special role for it. But yeah, and then your CMMC question.
I was gonna say my company. We've talked about it. When I say we, and I fully support and endorse all those who can do GRC and enjoy it. I think that's the hard part about it, is enjoying it, because it's not something that I've ever wanted to do, but Chris has gotten me involved more into it. Anyway, why? And I missed the beginning. I missed the beginning. So why is CMMC important for companies now, especially companies that may, do have work tied to the federal or state governments?
You want to answer that, AMK, now that we went through our learning session together? If not, you're okay. You're okay if you don't want to.
So, can you answer for me?
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. No worries at all. So the reason that it's so important is because up until this time, there has not been third-party requirements or an official process involved to verify the compliance and security of a government contractor. And that's been the biggest issue. And that's the main reason why CMMC became a thing, is because these government contractors, these are, for-profit companies, of course, like most. And there's been definite concerns that have been showcased in different breaches over the years, for many years, because of a lack of basic best practices. And so CMMC is being enforced upon contracts because of that, and to try to enforce some level of security requirements. Even though it's not complete, it's like, this is the bare minimum, please just do this at least. So yeah, and I that's like the whole reason why it's coming about. And I think it's extremely good because it does have a high cost, especially for that initial year. But my understanding is a lot of these companies are just going to bolt that onto their bidding for the contracts. So
stating that they're CMMC compliant, and whatever that terminology is.
yeah, so what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to hire somebody to either get them compliant, or especially if you follow underneath, if you're larger and your contract requires level 2, then you would have to hire a third party accredited assessor, which is very expensive. Like PBO was saying a minute ago, like $400 an hour. And it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars every year. So and they're just going to start bolting that onto the bids for the government contracts, is what's expected to happen. And like there's a whole report, like in the final ruling, there's a report that was put out from the DoD that actually outlines like the impact on the economy that it's going to have. because it's that much money.
And is it tied just to government contracts, or is it like with companies that interact with, how can I put it, with like not a federal contract, maybe a state contract where they interact with
It's
federal
only federal.
information? Okay.
No, but if they getting federal information, it's going to flow down. It's going like I do state work with Department of Revenue. We get data from the IRS. The IRS requirements flow down to us. So I think if you're doing a DoD contract through the state, if they're getting some DoD data, it's going to flow down to the state. Then that's going to flow down to you. But once again, in the RFP, they'll talk about what that flow down should look like.
And the two biggest things that it follows for is FCI and CUI, which is federal contract information and or unclassified contract unclassified information.
Yeah, cool. I hate that term, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So if you do handle either of those on the federal level, then there is a good likelihood that it will be implemented eventually. And I just dropped that in chat too for the CUI FCI. So it is kind of interesting, especially for like the small mom and pops, because like one of the only people that I've known in the past was a machinist, and he had government contracts. But like that was a small portion of his business. Like he picked up a couple a year. And so for him to have to go through the process, like, you know, he'd most likely just like not do government contracts at that point because it just wouldn't be worth, you know, $10,000 or $20,000 a year in comparison.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the cost doesn't
and the nuance
the
of dealing
revenue
with
he's
it.
getting. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shoot, I like I said, I don't deal with. I'm not on the. I can't say that. I'm a people person, dang it.
Yeah. Yeah, just meet a friend. Just go make a friend.
I keep thinking, exactly what do you do here, Luke? I'm a people person, dang it. Yeah, go make a friend.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be interesting because I think it's going to take a lot of small companies out of that DoD work for a little bit. They're going to have to make a decision. So,
yeah, I think the biggest issue is going to be those smaller contracts, because like I've seen those contracts be, you know, $500, $600 for small things. So I think that's something a lot of people don't realize, but also it depends on what you're working with too. So like if it's not controlled information, then you might not have to even worry. But I think the concerning part is when it does show up in a contract unexpectedly. So
it'll be interesting because a lot of people moving to the cloud. So I think the cloud's going to make it a lot easier. The only problem, even with CMC is 171, that policy and procedures and program, getting that set up is going to be kind of a headache for a small company. So I think the cloud's going to make it easier, but that initial paperwork, it's going to be kind of brutal, I think, because a lot of smaller companies really don't have they have a guy that does IT. They don't have an IT department. So
yeah.
So that's going to be real interesting. Because like you said, if you got a CNC mill and you're just doing some small stuff, most of those guys got a couple PCs. Their CNC does the milling. They don't have like this super duper IT department. They probably got an MSP, one guy that comes out and just kind of does their network. So that's going to be that's just good. Yeah,
well,
that's going to be interesting.
I think that's the most concerning part, is because like they're lucky if they have a single IT person for a lot of these smaller mom and pop shops. So yeah, and like there's somebody that I know where they work at a manufacturing facility that has government contracts, and like for those particular types of contracts, they're going to have to, you know, implement that in some way. You know, they have like so like I find it interesting in manufacturing in particular because with the federal contract information and so forth, like when they send you the semantics for something, that's controlled information. Like that's a no-no. You can't just like send that over, Outlook or whatever anymore, hopefully. PBO's over there like just like looking down, like la 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 la.
The cool thing though is Office 365 just coming from Azure gives you a lot of stuff for a small dollar amount. So I think that's where you got to kind of upgrade your IT, get your MSP. But once again, there's a cost to that. So depending on how much your contracts with that, getting that cost just get started.
So I find this comment really interesting, actually. So CMMC and GRC are closely related, and CMMC can greatly benefit from GRC. However, CMMC can be implemented independently. I find that comment very interesting because I would say that it depends, because if you look at the controls, because what GRC is actually designed as is a program. It's supposed to be an organizationally wide program for governance, risk, and compliance. Now with CMMC, if you want to get technical, you could go through and do something like level 1, which is only like 15 requirements. And I would probably agree that no, you do not have a GRC program. But now if you have to do 110 or more out of the 171, at that point you have a program. Like you have all these policies and procedures, policy management requirements, you have a lot of these other things as well. So you have some type of program put together at that point. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I know what he's saying there, and I understand what he's saying there. But even if you do level 1, even if you do it as a sole practitioner, you're going through GRC motions, right? Even if you're doing it as a sole team, you got to have some kind of incident response. You got to have some training even at that level. So technically, that's a GRC program, right? For me, if you got governance, some training, and some plans, all right, that's the skeleton. Now, it's not a full GRC program, you missing it, but you are doing some GRC functions. So for me, I wouldn't separate those, because to me, to do CMC, even level 1 correctly, you got to have some GRC functions in there. So but 2, I've been doing it by myself forever. So I just kind of feel, even if you're a one-man show, you still got to meet, you still got to plan, you still got to have poems, right? To me, those are GRC functions. So that's kind of my only slight pushback to that.
Do you have anything to add there, AMK or Luke?
Mm-hmm.
No?
I agree
did you want to break down what POAM is real quick?
What?
Yeah. That it's still technically a program because you have to use the skills.
Shout out to
which that makes a lot of sense.
Go with me, AMK. You never go wrong, man. Go with PBO. No, I'm just playing. Go with PBO. You never go wrong. I'm just playing.
That's what I do.
But so,
that's what I would do.
I guess we should walk through level 1 in another stream and kind of do like a poor man's GRC, just doing level 1 and see what that looks like. Because I'm sure you got to have incident response. I'm sure you got to have Office 365 to move it securely. I'm sure you got to have
look at that, PBO.
Configuration management plan. So for me, even at that level 1, once again, that's GRC-ish. So, but once again, you could do it. You could do GRC as a one-man show.
So just for an example, so CMMC level 1 right now has the 15 different base controls. And so we're looking at access control, 4 of the access control, and I'm just going to go through some of these really quick. But so authorized access control, so limit information systems to authorized users, transactions and function control, external connections, so verify and control limit connections to and from external information systems, control information posted or processed on publicly accessible information systems, identify information system users, processes acting on behalf of users or devices. So we also have like manage visitors and physical access, so escort visitors and monitor visitor activity. And so a lot of these things I see as like very bare minimum. But so this is for the level 1 so far.
Yeah, but to me, everything
you drop this in chat.
But to me, you named enough to make it a program-ish, right? So I mean, there's there's so just you didn't go through all of them, did that was a subset of what the level ones were, right? That wasn't all of them, right?
I mean, there's only a handful of other ones. So implement subnetworks for publicly accessible system components, identify, report, and correct information and information system flaws in a timely manner, provide protection from malicious code at appropriate locations within organizational information systems, update malicious code protection, and perform periodic scans of information systems and real-time scans. So like, I could definitely understand where you can consider this a program. But like one of the reasons why I would kind of still sway away from it a little bit is I 100% agree that you need the skills of GRC for it, for the audit, gap analysis, policy management, and all of this. But like a lot of these other companies, you know, they might just tell their IT guy like, hey, these are the 15 things we have to do, get it done, you know, and not have policy management or anything recurring. So.
And my little slight pushback to that is CMC is what, 171 plus some more controls, 171. You got to have policies and procedures for that. So if you don't have those, you will fail an audit. Once you have your 3PLs come in, the first thing they're going to look at is policies and procedures. And I'm old. Nobody's ever hacked a policy, but that's the first. So if you don't have that, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm saying it's a poor man's GRC, but I'm with you. So to me,
yeah, if anything, I would agree that it's a poor man's GRC because, like, at least for these small mom and pops that are only doing level 1, like they're just going to throw it on their IT guy most likely.
Yeah, let's be real.
Forget about it.
Yeah, let's be real. We could get some chat GPT going. We could do some policies, clean them up. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying it's this. I'm just saying you have to do some policies. And once again, we can generate all that stuff out of chat GPT. Or what's your favorite one, Chris? What's your favorite AI tool you use? It wasn't chat GPT. You was using Gemini.
No,
which one was you using?
Gemini, yeah.
Yeah, Gemini. We got 1 million contacts.
Boo. I'm anti.
What was that, Luke?
Sorry, for some reason I thought it was Claude, but no, it's Gemini for you, right?
Yeah. So let's be real. Yeah. We should do that on stream. We should generate some policies for 171, clean them up a little bit, do a couple SOPs for the access controls, and package them up. Boom. Study GRC Incorporated. No, but
hey, we could roll that up with your jaw jacking after your 2-hour stream tonight.
Shit, PBO tired. He need to go to bed.
Get a case of monsters.
Yeah, I'm old, man. But once again, I don't think it's super hard. I just think once again it's some stuff from GRC, from the policies, procedures. You went through the high level controls. That networking piece, you gotta have a little background, right, to do that. Standard scan stuff, right? You got Microsoft Defender. It's dirt cheap. You can pass with that. I probably would get QualSys to do the CMC compliance scans, and we could throw up a program with a few things, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. Like I said, those are just the touch points. So if anybody's trying to sell to small companies, that'll be your touch points. Chris got it right there in the Trello board, what you need to look at and clear. But once again, somebody's got to do the GRC point of, we got to assess it. Are we doing it? Do we have a finding? If we don't have a finding, when's the POAM? When we're going to fix it, right? That is a program. Yeah. I'm pushing it. So, but once again, it don't have to be super hard. Like you said, there's 15 main controls and just kind of roll from that.
Yep. Bam. Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds like a plan. And then also, before we depart from here, I just wanted to, did you guys have anything else to add, or is there any other questions here? I think this has been a really good stream so far. I was surprised we kind of cleared like 90% of it up in the first 35 minutes.
But he said, like I always do, Chris gets me that. I say something, everybody wants me to do it on stream. Let's go chat GPT and start generating. But we have to do that.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna push it back on you somehow. We'll figure this out. But yeah.
But yeah.
Oh,
but
and
no.
Space Taco says that she likes the Teehee tag.
So yeah, but once again, I think, like you said, I think small business can do it. I think the probably have to get an MSP to kind of help you with that paperwork, policies, and procedures. Like I said, you just need to do it. So when the 3PL comes in, which Chris said what that was, third party assessors, you want them in and out in about a day and a half. So you ain't spending a lot of money. So you want to make sure you're tight. You did some internal assessments, and you could go through it. And shout out to Chris with the Trello board. He kind of went through that level 1.
Yeah, straight facts only. Now we have the Trello boards for CSF 2.0, the 171 and CMMC, CIS
800.
version 8, and then also PCI 4.0.
800?
So
you do the 800?
Yep. Yeah, we have the 853 as well. I just lose track of them all. They're on our resource page, which you could find on our website, studygrc.org. I was gonna so AB Showtime. I could do a whole 6-hour video all about Trello. I spent a lot of time inside of Trello. I would actually like to move away from Trello. I like Trello originally because it does make it easy with their Kanban boards, and there's a lot of plugins you can use and integrations. I think it's pretty easy. Just make an account. You have the different columns, and then you make cards individually on there. One of the big things that made importing the 853 easier is because you can look it up on Trello and find out what their import process is, and then that's how I was able to make the 853 Trello board, is because I just modified. I took the 853 spreadsheet with all the information, and then I formatted it in such a way that I was able to import it directly into Trello, rather than the good old-fashioned way of copy and paste. So there's a little bit of research to do with that, but I would say 99% of it you could just do manually on the website itself. Ruining the movie theater here. No. I'm just messing with you. You're good.
Sorry about that, guys.
I forget about it all the time. My phone starts dinging all the time. But yeah, definitely check out PBO's stream tonight. So that's at 8 p.m. Central or 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, going over the personnel security out of the 853. Right?
Mm-hmm. Is that the one showing up? Oh, I got to change the thing. For tonight. I need to change I put the wrong thing. We're going over the PII. My bad. I got to get it together. Good looking out, Chris. Are you sure? Yeah, it's the right one. Oh.
It's the right video, PBO.
I went in the wrong. PBO had a bad day. Yeah, let me get there.
All right, so you're getting the information here first. Breaking news: PBO is updating his information because it's going to be about personally identifiable information.
Yeah, let me go there and change it ASAP.
And that's only here in a couple hours. So I'll see you guys there. So almost 3 hours actually. So I dropped the link for that. If you guys have any questions, definitely hop into our Discord. That's one of the best places to catch us offline, outside of the streams. And unless you guys have anything else to add, I'll go ahead and end it here. And then also catch us Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Thank you for letting me.
All right, guys. Nice stream. Thank you. See you guys later.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining.